Hello everyone, I am Utkarsh Vijay. I am a senior manager in Samagra Transforming Governance. It has been 3 years in Samagra and I have led a couple of engagements. The first one was on a digital transformation called Digital Haryana Cell. And right now I am working on agricultural transformation project in Odisha. The project is called ADAPT. Today I will be speaking about how Samagra is helping Department of Agriculture in Odisha to use the data that is generated across the agricultural life cycle with an objective to improve farmers' income. The project ADAPT started in 2018 in partnership with Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. The idea was to create a decision support system which could facilitate evidence-backed decision making with an objective to improve farmers' income. As you are aware that agriculture is one of the most important sector of Indian economy. More than 50% of our workforce is involved in agriculture. Likewise, in Odisha, around 60% of our total workforce is involved in agriculture. And agriculture sector contributes around 18% to state's GDP. Similar to any other state in India, the farmers are heavily dependent on the government throughout the farming life cycle, be it planning their crops, buying farm machinery, getting the subsidies on it, buying seeds and fertilizers, getting subsidies on these, getting information, new techniques, getting advisories, and other welfare schemes. All of it is being provided by the government to the farmers. Now, while the farmer interacts with the government at all of these junctures, there is lot of data that is being generated at each of these transactional points. So the Department of Agriculture decided to have a decision support system of its own where it can use all the data that is being generated and house it in one integrated platform so that the data can be used to generate insights which can be further used to take real-time decisions which are more evidence-backed rather than anecdotal. Now, what do I mean by getting the data in onto decision support system? It is not merely an exercise of just integrating, or it is not integrating other systems, or it is not a very technical exercise that is required. Technology is one part of it. It is an enabler which supports this decision support system. But let's see what does getting a data or creating a data stream for decision support system mean. So this is a data to decision cycle which we generally follow when we want to get any element on decision support system. So first of all, we will do a deep diagnosis of different aspects involved in key operational areas. So let's say we have to check how is the pest surveillance going in the state. So we will check who is involved in pest surveillance, what is the frequency of pest surveillance, what is the target for pest surveillance, etc. Then we will define the KPIs, or we will identify the KPIs which can be used to measure each of these aspects of the key operational area, which in our case is pest surveillance. Now, it might also happen that while studying the process that we find that there are certain breaking points within the process. So we will also work towards re-engineering the process so that we are able to capture the right data points in the system. Now, once this diagnosis process engineering bit is done, we will either create a new data stream for capturing those data points, or we will use the existing system after some modification and integrate it with decision support system. Once the system has been integrated with the decision support system, we would continuously monitor this data along with the department, and we will identify challenges from the data. We will now, from whatever that symptoms that data is showing, based on that, we will create certain process changes or the policy changes and get it approved by the department. Once the approval is there, we will help the department in implementation of the new process or the policy, and also will help the department in creating a constant review and monitoring mechanism, so that this cycle keeps running till the time the outcome that we had set out for, which in our case would be maximizing the pest surveillance area and also minimizing the crop loss due to pest, that kind of outcome is achieved, then that is the end of this cycle. Let's see what have been the major milestones and impact of the decision support system on overall agricultural setup in Odisha. We have been able to onboard more than 190 KPIs on decision support system which are being used across multiple meeting forums at all levels. So for example, at state level, every week in crop weather watch group meeting, where all the officers from agriculture department and weather department, corporation department, food and supplies department, so basically all the related department come together to see what is the status of agriculture in the state. So let's say they see at the data where which is showing that the supply of seed in particular district is really low, whereas the demand is really high. The action item that would come out of it is that the officers who are responsible for seed supply in the state would be asked to fulfill the requirements in that particular district. Similarly, the decisions and the data are being used at district level and at the block level. Samagra also helped in conceptualizing and implementing one of the largest direct income transfer schemes in the country called Kalia. So the scheme covers almost 51 lakh beneficiaries in the state, both small and marginal farmers as well as landless farmers. We also helped the department in devising an algorithm which was used to identify the beneficiaries among more than 1 crore applications that came in for Kalia. Till now, almost 5,000 crore have been disbursed to the farmers, and 31% of the beneficiaries are women. The second milestone that we achieved was the complete digitization of the scheme monthly progress reports that were being filled by the block level. So now decision support system is a one-stop solution for all the scheme related data in the state. The target setting is now being done online from state level to district level, from district level to block level, and from blocks to GP. So now there is a complete visibility of what is happening at each level in the state at across all the levels. This is now being monitored based on the review calendar created by the team. And the state is taking decisions like which components to promote, which components to stop, etc., using all the data that is being generated on decision support system. We also help the department. So while helping the department in diagnosing or improving the pest surveillance area, we came across a very peculiar problem where the number of extension workers were very few than as compared to the number of GPs that were to be surveyed. So we came up with this innovative idea of including final year students from agricultural universities to help the department in surveying these areas. In the first year, we took around 120 students as pest scouts, and they helped us in surveying the most pest affected areas of the state. In 2018, in a larger avatar, what we did was we extended the program to around 500 students across the state from the state agricultural universities, and they were deployed in 120 blocks across the state. These students helped us in profiling 60,000 farmers, which is helping us in uh, disseminating agricultural advisories, agronomic advisories to these farmers. They also helped us in surveying these farmers around availability of various inputs like fertilizers, seeds, farm machinery, etc., so that the department can assess how is the performance of the schemes and programs that the department is running. They also helped us in registering around 1,000 farmers in various schemes that the department is running in the state. Similarly, on this line, we what used to happen in the state, and we'll be talking about this in further details later. Uh, there was a very low visibility on how many claims were settled by the insurance agencies and the banks. So ultimately, after the settlement, how much money is being transferred to the farmer and when it is being transferred, that was a complete black box for Odisha, and similar it is same across the country. So Odisha, with the help of Samagra, created a tool called crop insurance monitoring, where we are able to monitor the end-to-end dispersal of insurance settlement from insurance companies to the farmer. Alongside all of this, Samagra has also helped Department of Agriculture in coming up with a new state agricultural policy called Samruddhi. In the image, we can see the Chief Minister of Odisha launching agricultural policy during Kushi Odisha event. The Samruddhi policy is not just like a typical policy. It is an action plan for next 5 years, which also defines year-on-year target for each of the item that has been mentioned in the policy. We'll start with our first case, a deep dive into how we help Government of Odisha in solving the claim dispersal problem in crop insurance. As all of us are aware that Odisha is one of the most prone state to the natural disasters. There have been numerous instances in last couple of decades when Odisha has suffered droughts, floods, cyclones, and sometimes all three of them in a single year. To secure the farmers from these natural disasters and associated yield losses, the government provides the farmers insurance under Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana. The insurance is highly subsidized for the farmers, where they pay a premium of 2 to 5% annually, and the remaining share is being paid by government of India and government of Odisha. This covers almost all kind of yield losses, and when we started the project, the insurance enrollment system was provided by government of India. As you can see, in a state, this is the cycle that an insurance claim has to go through. First, the farmer will enroll for the insurance. Once towards the end of the season, the state machinery will assess the loss that has been there in their particular GPs or blocks. And then finally, once this yield loss has been approved by all the government bodies as well as insurance agencies, the claims are being settled to the farmers. There are multiple problems that are associated with PMFBY portal as well as the process. So if we see the enrollment process in itself, there are a lot of lack of validations, etc., in the portal itself. So that there is no validation on account numbers, land details, etc. while the farmers are getting registered. There is lack of interoperability of the data, for which we have solved to certain extent. Uh, Similarly, if we see the yield approval that used to happen after the crop cutting experiment that happens on the ground, the yield approval process was being done completely offline. So if an insurance agency is not agreeing to certain number, then it it is a black box, almost a black box for different parties associated with this process, because this is all of it is going on paper. Further to this, once the yield is approved, the claim dispersal process from insurance agency to the farmer, there is no tracking around it. So we don't know, we will never know if the insurance agency has approved the claim for a particular farmer or not, and whether the money has reached that farmer or not. The lack of visibility in this entire claim disbursement process creates a lot of problems on the ground. So these are some of the headlines that we had picked up when we started this particular module, where farmers often used to go on uh, on on uh, on the highways, blocking the vehicular movement, etc. They used to stage protests on the road over non-payment of insurance amount. To solve the entire process, the shortcoming in the process, we proposed a holistic technology-aided solution around claim disbursement. So we said that everything from approval of yield data to transfer from insurance companies to the banks to the farmers should be tracked using a technology aided solution. The data from the national, so for starting this entire process, what we did was we got the data from National Crop Insurance Portal and linked it to the decision support system. So now we knew that how many farmers are getting enrolled, through what channels are they getting enrolled, what is the crop that is getting insured, and how many such enrollments are getting approved. So all of this information was there in one single view, and we can drill down to any level that we want. Now, this helped us also in improving the enrollment numbers in the state. So in from 2017-18 to 2018-19, there has been a 300% increase in number of applications by the farmers. This was possible majorly because of the identification of the bottlenecks through data. Uh, we were, for example, we were able to see that there are not many insurance agents present on the ground who can guide or help the farmers in getting themselves registered. So we took that up with the insurance agencies along with the department and got that issue resolved. Coming to the claim dispersal part. So the entire claim dispersal part is now online, and so from as I said before, from approving or contesting the yield data to seeing the progress till Gram Panchayat level, and also at a farmer level, everything can be done on decision support system. The department, multiple insurance agencies, multiple banking agencies have been onboarded onto the system, so that they keep updating this data regularly. How does that work? So after the government has, after the due processes of crop coverage experiment on the ground, the government uploads the yield data on the portal, and the insurance agencies can log on to the portal and see what is the actual yield data that has been reported from the ground and has been approved. All the insurance agencies can take actions regarding approving or contesting those data points, the yield data, on the portal itself. What happened this year is that all 100% action was taken by the insurance agencies within a week of uploading the data. The claim calculation earlier used to be a bit lengthy process because of around 47 lakh applications. The department used to give it to some insurance agencies for the calculation and get it back in 5 to 10 days. With this approval process being online, now the claims are being calculated automatically on the system itself. And based on the remarks provided by the insurance companies against the contested AY data, it is being resolved quickly than before by the department or the districts. Similarly, once the insurance agencies have approved the yield data, they have started uploading the data regarding the settlement of the insurance claims to the farmers. So the insurance agency would upload that we have settled the claim for X number of farmers. They would be either sending it to the banks or they would be directly transferring it into the farmer's account based on which type of bank account the farmer has provided. If it is being transferred to the banks, then the bank comes into picture and they would then subsequently look for the account numbers in the application and transfer it further to the farmers after the settlement of loan amounts that they had taken. Similarly, the insurance agencies, if they are transferring the bank account the insurance amount directly to the farmers, they would be reporting that data on this portal. What has happened is at the state level, now the department can view the reports at all the geographical levels, district wise, block wise, gram panchayat wise. Similarly, they can also see which insurance agencies are performing well and which are not, and likewise for the banks. This has helped the department in following up with the concerned agencies very quickly. The extension workers on the ground who are dealing with the farmers directly, now they also can tell the farmers where exactly is the claim amount is, or hold up where the hold up is, by seeing the status on the decision support system. So along with this, now this is one bit of the solution where we created this technology system. We onboarded multiple agencies onto it. They are uploading the data. The other dimension is what has been the adoption strategy. So one was the technology bit, which I covered earlier. Now is how we got so many agencies to adopt this system. So there are almost 5 insurance agencies that are involved, 17 cooperative banks, and more than 30 commercial banks, which are involved in this entire process. What enabled them was that we conducted regular workshops with department as well as the external agencies. We created a lot of small videos which they can see and get to learn how to use these modules. We also are using WhatsApp very extensively. So there is a report going from the PMFBY cell of the department regularly on these WhatsApp group, notifying the insurance agencies as well as the banks on what is the current status and what is the action required from their side. And all of this is being regularly monitored by the senior officials so that they can ask the concerned authorities or concerned officials to take the actions quickly. What has been the impact? So Odisha is the first state to track the real-time disbursal of the claims to the farmers. This is happening for the first time in the country. What has been achieved till now? So we have enabled real-time tracking of the claim disbursal. There is a visibility at all levels in the department. There is increased accountability. Now we can pinpoint to a particular insurance agency, particular bank, which is holding up the payment to the farmers. And this in turn has resulted in faster claim settlement to the farmers. At this point of time, almost 50% claims of Kharif 2019 have been settled by the insurance company, which wasn't the case. When I compare it with the Kharif 2018 claim settlements. In this section, I'll speak about one of the most innovative direct income transfer scheme which has been implemented in our country called Kalia. Kalia stands for Krushuk Assistance for Livelihood and Income Augmentation. Let's see how did we reach at Kalia. In 2017-18, multiple state governments had been giving loan waivers, and they almost reached worth of rupees 1.9 trillion. So, but the case in point is, were the farmers really gaining from it? There are design flaws attached to farm loan waivers, in a sense that landless farmers or the sharecroppers never get benefit of these farm loan waivers, and but in reality, majority of the farmers in our country are sharecroppers. At a farmer level, if we see, this increases the probability of moral hazard, and at a state level, obviously it affects the economy badly. So when the other states were thinking about farm loan waiver, Odisha was thinking of a farmer welfare fund. Why farmer welfare fund? One, because majority of the population of Odisha is involved in agriculture, and second, agriculture is a high risk sector for Odisha, because most of the state is rain fed, and there are weather distortions that occur frequently in the state. So the government earmarked around 250 crores for farmer welfare. After multiple round of discussion, the Farmer Welfare Fund was expanded and formally launched as Kalia scheme. So first there was some discussion around allocating these 250 crores to the calamity prone areas, Gram Panchayat, resting roughly 1 lakh rupees with these Gram Panchayat, so that they can give it to the farmers at their discretion. But ultimately, the scheme that came out was Kalia. So in December 2018, the government launched Kalia, and Kalia is truly a step away from traditional farm welfare scheme, in a sense that, one, it includes the landless farmers, one of the very few schemes in the country that includes landless farmers. There is a lot of inclusivity. There is no discrimination based on gender, uh, and it is highly data backed. So the people who are selected are not selected because of some discrimination on the ground. They are selected because of the previous transactions that they have done with the government. Kalia was initially conceptualized with 6 components, and then the couple of components were the assistance provided to the small and marginal farmers, and the second component was the assistance to be provided to the landless farmers. There was an insurance component for these agricultural household and the cultivator household, and then there was a scholarship which was to be given to the children of Kalia beneficiaries. The other 2 components were for vulnerable agricultural households and interest-free loan for these Kalia beneficiaries. A total budget of 10,000 crores for 3 years was earmarked for this scheme. Out of these 6 components, 2 components were implemented. The comprehensive assistance to the cultivators as well as to the landless farmers were implemented in a mission mode, whereas 2 other components, the assistance to vulnerable agricultural household and interest-free crop loan, were dropped due to overlap with other schemes in the state. Now, having this context, I would want you to I would walk you through on how did we go about the implementation of this huge scheme. So the entire spectrum of the scheme delivery can be divided into 3 parts. One is the application by the farmers, the other part is verification by the government, and the third one would be the fund transfer by the government. If we talk about the application, so the government launched 2 kinds of forms. One was the green form and the other one was the red form. In the green form, anyone who think that they are eligible can fill these green forms and drop it at GP offices. Whereas if I think that I am ineligible for this scheme, I can fill a red form and drop this form in the GP offices. After the completeness check, verification of verification of the farmers, inclusion and exclusion lists were prepared, and these lists were put up for public consumption on Kalia portal. There was an extensive IEC activity to encourage the farmers for opting in and or opting out of the Kalia scheme. There were advertisements across the state. There were full page coverage on in the newspapers. There were television coverages. There were community radios were used, etc. In January, about a month after the launch of the scheme, around 1 crore farmers applied for the scheme. And all of this was being tracked at the highest level in the government. But identification of the eligible farmers was an uphill battle, because if you see, there are other data sets in the department which are not really available. There is a limited visibility on those data sets. The land records are not updated. There is no common IDs across the databases. There is huge lag between transfer of data from one system to another. And then all the systems are have been created in silos, so they don't follow any common technical architecture. Before the implementation could begin, we identified certain broad categories of exclusion that we thought would make a farmer or an applicant ineligible. So if a person is large farmer, government employee, teacher, they are constitutional authority, or they're paying taxes, or they belong to urban areas, then we wanted to consider them as ineligible farmers. So as a first step, what we did was we identified 20 databases across the state government and national government from where we could get the data to check for the eligibility criteria that we had laid down for the applicant beneficiary identification. The 20 databases were then bucketed into 3 categories: the unification databases, the verification databases, and the exclusion databases. In the unification databases, all the datasets which had the applicant data were combined. The verification databases were used to check whether certain information provided by the farmer is correct or not. And then there were exclusion datasets where we use these datasets to check for the ineligibilities of the farmers. An algorithm, step-by-step mechanism, which in technical terms is called algorithm, was created for identification of correct beneficiary for the scheme. So if we say the first step was base application data, which we received from the green forms, and there were 2 other data set, big data set that the department had: the procurement data set and the seed DBT database. So these were combined, and in total we had 1.2 crore total applications. Once we had these data of 1.2 crore applicants, we sent this for a check with Aadhaar. So a combination of Aadhaar number and names were sent, and the Aadhaar used to return whether both of them match or not, and if there is a mismatch of name. In some cases, because we were getting these entries manually done, obviously there were chances of getting the spelling wrong. So if we also calculated the fuzzy scores, and if the Aadhaar was correct but the names were mismatched, we calculated it with the use the fuzzy score to calculate the extent of matching. So for example, an Asmati Dai and Asmati Nayak have a fuzzy score of 58%, whereas an Amina Sahu with an E and Amina Sahu with an I and a different spelling of Sahu had a 78% match. So the people who got a score above a identified threshold were being passed through the next stage of the algorithm. So as per and then we imported ration card number and NPR AHL tin from SECC, so that the further exclusions can be done in subsequent stages. Once the Aadhaar, once the ration card number and NPR AHL tin were imported, we ran Aadhaar based exclusions. So for large farmers using Aadhaar as a key, We ran exclusion using PMFBY database and PPAS, which is a procurement database in the system. We also ran exclusion with the government employee dataset and the other datasets like teachers and police constable that were available with the state. Based on NPR 10 and AHL 10, we ran certain criteria. We saw certain relevant criteria which were also applicable to NFSA, and ran those exclusion using NPR and AHL 10 and referencing it to SECC database. Then there were certain additional exclusion that were also done. So for example, pensioner exclusion was one where we took the data from the state pensioners treasury department and ran the exclusion on our data set. So if they are pensioner, if they are receiving pensions from the government, which means that they were government employees and hence were removed from the beneficiary list. Then there were red forms which the public had filled voluntarily to get themselves excluded. And there was suo motu exclusion. These were the exclusion that were pointed by the government officials, which were to be removed from the beneficiary list. Then we also wanted that if someone in the family is a large farmer or a government employee or a teacher or a constable, their entire family should be excluded. As we discussed before, that Kalia is a family based scheme and not an individual based scheme. So what we did was the above uh, we we ran all the above exclusion that we spoke about on the family members of the applicants as well. From where did we get these family members? These family members were already part of NFSA database. So we ran the similar exclusion on the family members as well, and mark the base applicant ineligible if any of the family member was found to be ineligible under the criteria that were specified. The next step was bank verification. Under this step, what we did was we coordinated with the State Bank of India, the cooperative banks in Odisha, and the state level banking committee. We used to generate files of these beneficiaries, probable beneficiaries, I should say, and we used to give them account numbers and account holder name, and these banks would revert to us whether these are valid numbers, valid accounts or not, and then we used to map it to the original beneficiaries. So as we see, we have seen that we have done the bank verification. Now is the time to deduplicate the data set. So we used to see any duplicate or missing Aadhaar. We used to see for any applicant with missing ration card number or NPR 10 or AHL 10. They used to be directly removed from the beneficiary list. Uh, any duplication from the previous phases were also checked for, because we were transferring the money in phases. There were 5 phases involved initially. So any duplication from the previous phases based on Aadhaar number and ration card number and also bank account number were being removed. The final list of beneficiary used to contain unique rations, because the entire scheme is meant for the farm families and not for individuals. So we had to select only one beneficiary per family. So we gave a preference to female applicant over male applicant, and the applicants with an active account over dormant and invalid account. All of after this data backed verification, all of the draft beneficiary list was sent to the ground level for 3-tier verification. So the block level nodal officers got these lists. They printed it, they uh, pasted it onto the GP offices and packs. And then the GP level nodal officer was receiving a lot of exclusion, either from public or exclusion through online mediums, and also they were excluding themselves. So after all of it, the verification and updation of the list, the GP level officer used to send it to the block level nodal officer, who again used to verify it and then further approve it. And then finally, the district level nodal officer, who again used to verify and approve it. For the transfer of assistance, an SOP was developed, a sort of SOP was developed for ensuring higher transactional success. So the beneficiary account and details were captured, beneficiary account details were captured through a well-defined form, drop-downs in IFSC codes, etc., etc. The SBI, SLBC, and OSCB were used for bank account verification, as explained earlier. There were backend sanitization. So for one, we know the length of IFSC code, the standard length, and we were removing every probable beneficiary who didn't match that criteria. We also used penny drop method in some cases, and for instant transaction success and failure, we were using an SFTP medium provided by State Bank of India. For the people who didn't have their correct bank accounts details, we sent them back to the field for updation. All of this was being followed by regular reviews, a watertight cadence of reviews. On weekly level, the principal secretaries were meeting together. They were coordinating on the interdepartmental issues. The CS was reviewing the entire exercise at weekly level. Uh, on completion of the entire algorithm or the database verification and the on-field verification, there were three mega events that were conducted to mark the transfer of the assistance to the farmers. As you can see in the image, the chief minister is launching the scheme in Puri. Under Kalia scheme, 51 lakh beneficiaries were identified and have been assisted in the initial 5 months. Out of 51 lakh, 36 lakh are small and marginal farmers, whereas 15 lakh are landless agricultural workers. In the initial 5 months, that is the first five phases, assistance worth rupees 2,500 crores was disbursed directly into the bank accounts. In the current phase or current scenario, assistance worth rupees 5,000 crores have already been transferred to these farmers. In the end, I would again go back to the original slide where I showed you decision support system and how it is becoming an integrated platform for all the data and insights that are required across the agricultural life cycle. We have been able to bring about a lot of change in the governance in Odisha, where especially in the agricultural sector, wherein there is more and more importance that is being given to these data systems, the systemic processes, etc., so that the right decision, which are backed by data, can be taken in real time. We have seen during the presentation some of the use cases where the data is being used in regular meetings in the department. It is being used for measuring the performance of certain schemes. It is being used for tracking the last mile delivery of claim insurance amount, and it was extensively used in identification of beneficiary under Kalia scheme. That is the kind of change that we have brought about in Odisha, and we continue to do so. That's it from my side for today. I hope you like this entire podcast. Thank you for your time. Have a good day.